Chapter 2385, Strengths and Weaknesses. Published by Divine-Tao Library. Translator, Salavan and Rykov. Translation checker, Pew Pew Lasergun. Editor and proofreader, Leo of Zion Mountain and Dale Ligerkeys. After waiting 1 full hour and still not seeing any signs of Sangda, just as Yang Kai was starting to feel impatient and wondering whether Sangda had been lying to him, the young woman across from him suddenly took out a communication bead and frowned at it. This move caught Yang Kai's attention. If this beautiful young woman was one of Sangda's helpers, then he could certainly find some clues from her. The young woman quickly put the communication bead away before rising up and flying out to sea. Did I guess wrongly? Yang Kai was stunned. The young woman left the dock without a word. Was it possible that she wasn't one of them? Just as Yang Kai was having such doubts, a soft voice suddenly reached his ear. Start moving in 1 cup of tea's time. We'll be waiting for you out at sea. This voice definitely belonged to that young woman. Thinking of the scene where she had taken out her communication bead, Yang Kai immediately guessed that Sangda must have secretly sent her a message, then asked her to convey it to him. After clearing up his thoughts, Yang Kai smiled, thinking to himself that Sangda really was a cautious person. But he really couldn't blame him, as Sangda was too famous in Clear Sky City and would definitely be recognized very easily as well. If he was seen bringing some people out to sea at the dock, it would definitely alert a few people, such as the Clear Sky Island Lord and the Ice Heart Pavilion Master. Currently, Sangda had used some unknown method to get out of Clear Sky City unnoticed, and only then did he quietly send a message to the young woman and Yang Kai, which shows how thorough he was. Following what the young woman said, Yang Kai waited at the dock for 1 cup of tea's worth of time before suddenly teleporting and disappearing from his spot. The cultivator, who had been hiding in the shadows, had no idea what had just happened. He just saw Yang Kai's body turning into a blur and disappearing right after. Shocked, he quickly transmitted a message to Yu Leping. In just a few moments, Yu Leping rushed over to the dock like lightning, looking around with a grim look on his face. Soon, he fixed his gaze at the sea. There was no sign of Yang Kai returning to the city, and there were no signs of him at the dock either, so the only explanation must be that Yang Kai had already gone out to sea. Yu Leping naturally did not wish to miss this golden opportunity. Immediately, he summoned a ship and sailed out of the dock with a group of men. Yang Kai flew across the sea for less than half an hour before he saw a sea ship moored there. There were a few figures on the deck who were looking in his direction, and when they saw him, one of them immediately waved a banner in their hands. When he saw this, Yang Kai did not hesitate and shot straight towards the sea ship. A short while later, he landed on the deck. Looking up, he saw 4 people standing there, with the young woman he had seen earlier among them. This woman was currently staring at him with a cheerful look on her face, constantly looking him over from head to toe as if she wanted to stare holes through him. Naturally, Yang Kai was not familiar with the other 2. One of them was a tough man with a sturdy build. He had a towering build and his strong muscles were like the finest piece of artwork, emitting a unique feel and a powerful aesthetic. This man was an entire head taller than Yang Kai and gave off a strong oppressive aura. The other man did not stand out much, on the other hand. He looked ordinary with no special features at all, almost like the type that you wouldn't be able to find once they blended into a crowd. However, this man gave off an extremely cold air, and from where he was standing, Yang Kai knew he was an extremely proud person. That was because he chose to stand some distance away from the beautiful young woman and the stout man, seemingly disdaining to have to be in a team with those 2. When Yang Kai boarded the boat just now, this aloof man had also given him only a simple glance before averting his gaze as if he wasn't worth his time. Naturally, the 4th person on this ship was Sangda. He seemed to have used some sort of artifact to change the appearance of his body and the aura he was emitting. If Yang Kai hadn't assumed beforehand that it was going to be him, then he might not have been able to recognize him. At this moment, Sangda had changed his appearance from an old man into a middle-aged man. No wonder he could slip out of Clear Sky City unnoticed. With the help of such an amazing artifact, what could he not do? We're all here. When Sangda in his middle-aged guise saw Yang Kai arrive, he said that in a deep voice and made a seal with his hands to propel the sea ship forward. Even though we're all here, shouldn't Grandmaster introduce us to each other first? It would help facilitate our cooperation too if we know who we're dealing with. The beautiful young woman suddenly giggled, her laughter ringing clear and pleasant like bells, seemingly mixed with a tinge of charm as well, moving its listeners. While speaking, she had actually cast a charm art, and a faint fragrance immediately wafted through the deck, causing the bodies of anyone who inhaled it to become hot. Shi Lan, are you courting death? The proud young man suddenly snorted coldly, a gleam suddenly erupting in his dull-looking eyes as he glared at the young woman and snapped, "If you don't put your charm arts away, then I'll throw you into the sea right now and feed you to the fishes." The young woman called Shi Lan smiled lightly and did not take the threats of the young man seriously, instead saying cheerfully, "My, how frightening, what are you getting so angry for?" As she spoke, a strange sound suddenly emerged on the deck. When Yang Kai lowered his gaze, he felt a tingle run through his scalp. He had no idea when it happened, but many strange snakes of different sizes had suddenly appeared on the deck, all looking venomous and fierce. What's more, these snakes had completely wrapped up the body of the young man without leaving a single gap, constantly flicking their tongues in a chilling sight. Paltry tricks. The young man's face did not change, seemingly treating the snakes as if they were nothing. He only stared at Shi Lan with a calm face and did not seem afraid of her at all. The two of them caused the atmosphere to become so stiff in just a moment. Who knew whether there were any grudges between them beforehand? Whoever dares argue again can scram off this old master's ship. Sang De coldly snorted, sweeping his stately gaze around. Shi Lan and the young man immediately went silent. If Sang De was merely an artifact refining grandmaster, then he would not be able to hold down this unruly bunch in the solitary void sea, but the key point was that Sang De was more than just an artifact refining grandmaster. His own strength was not inferior to anyone's here. "Put those pets of yours away, it makes this old master queasy." Sang De glared at Shi Lan. Shi Lan smiled and said sweetly, "If Grandmaster orders it, this one naturally does not dare to disobey." She put her jade-white hand by her red lips and, with a soft whistle, the venomous snakes on the deck instantly dispersed. Who knew where they went off to hide? Sang De followed up, "Actually, I'm sure you've heard of each other before, but just never met each other prior to this. There is also no need for this old master to introduce you, just name yourselves." Shi Lan nodded, "Of course. This mistress greets these brothers, and I hope you can take care of me during this trip." She gazed amorously at them while speaking in a teasing tone of voice that could provoke the hidden desires of any man. The proud young man coldly snorted, "Chen Fei." After saying his name, he added nothing more. To him, it felt almost humiliating if he were to speak another word. On the other hand, the burly man grinned meaningfully and scratched his head awkwardly, "My name is Man Kuai." He looked like a very honest man, but everyone knew that they'd be the unlucky ones if they took his deceptive appearance seriously. No person that could make a name for themselves on Clear Sky Island was simple, as all the simple ones were already dead. "So, it's really elder brother Man." Shi Lan's eyes lit up. She seemed to be familiar with Man Kuai's name. While speaking, she stuck her tender body close to his side and said cutely, "Little sister has long admired elder brother Man. Having this fortunate opportunity to meet you now, it seems your prestige name is not false." While speaking, she stretched out a jade finger to gently stroke Man Kuai's strong muscles with a tantalizing expression on her face. Even her breathing had become quick and her eyes glowing. Man Kuai flexed his muscles cooperatively and grinned meaningfully, "If little sister likes it, then you can feel them as much as you like. This is the only long suit that I, Man Kuai, has, after all." Shi Lan licked her red lips. "That can't be, right? Does elder brother Man really have no other, long suits?" Man Kuai snickered, "Naturally, I do." "How long?" "Long enough to fully explore little sister's depths. Then we must get to know each other better." This dog couple was unashamedly flirting right in front of everyone, gazing deeply into each other's eyes, causing black lines to form on the faces of Yang Kai and the others. "What is this friend's name? You don't look very familiar." Seemingly unable to stand it any longer, Chen Fei didn't bother with the flirting couple and turned to Yang Kai instead. As soon as he said that, Man Kuai and Shi Lan also looked towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai smiled and cupped his fists. "Yang Kai." "Yang Kai," Chen Fei frowned. He and Man Kuai looked at each other, but they could see confusion in each other's eyes because they had never heard of Yang Kai's name before. "So, it is little brother Yang. Please forgive my rudeness." Shi Lan abandoned Man Kuai and came over to Yang Kai, sticking to him with her tender body while she stared at him with her charming silk-like eyes. "Does little brother have any long suits? Can you tell little sister?" Yang Kai's face went dark. "No, not at all. I am covered in shortcomings from head to toe. I have no long suits whatsoever." "How could that be?" Shi Lan giggled. "All men should have their long suits. No need to be shy, little brother." Yang Kai's face went cold. "Auntie, how old are you? You're still calling me little brother? Can you please have some shame?" The smile instantly went stiff on Shi Lan's face and cold air erupted from her body. She turned her head to look at Sangda and asked, Grandmaster, where did you find him? Can I tear his mouth off? Sangda's face turned grim. Seems like you weren't listening to what this old master said just now. Shilan was furious as she gritted her teeth. Grandmaster, I have heard of both Elder Brother Man and Chen Fei. They are both known lone masters on the island. But who is this little brat to have the qualifications to work with us?